Jagat Guru Nanak Dev Punjab State Open University, Patiala. In this lecture, we are going to discuss equilibrium of firm and industry under perfect competition. How price and output is determined under perfect competition. To start with, equilibrium of firm and industry under perfect competition. First of all, there are two approaches to calculate the equilibrium of firm and industry in perfect competition. First is total revenue, total cost approach. Second is marginal revenue, marginal cost approach. Total revenue, total cost approach and marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. First, we will discuss total revenue and total cost approach. Then we will move forward to marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. In total revenue and total cost approach, two possibilities of the firm are there to attain the equilibrium. First is either to earn maximum profits. Maximum profits means total revenue is greater than total cost, or to incur minimum losses when total revenue is less than total cost. That is a situation of losses, but in this approach, we will focus on minimum losses. If a firm is incurring losses, its aim is to minimize the losses. At this stage, firm has no tendency to increase or decrease its output. Coming to the next approach, that is marginal revenue and marginal cost approach. Again, there are two necessary conditions which must be fulfilled by the firm to attain equilibrium level. First is marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue, and another is marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below. Equilibrium will be determined at a place where both these conditions will be satisfied. That is, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and second is marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below. Fine. So next is equilibrium conditions for firm and industry. First, we will discuss equilibrium of firm in short period. Then we will discuss equilibrium of firm in long period. Again, the two necessary conditions for short period to attain equilibrium is marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue and marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue curve from below. When we are talking about or when we are discussing about the equilibrium of firm in short period, there are three possibilities. Firm's equilibrium with supernormal profits, firm's equilibrium with normal profits, and the last is firm's equilibrium with minimum losses. In our previous lecture, we have already discussed the various features of perfect competition. One of the very important feature of perfect competition is free entry and exit of firms in the industry. It means any firm can enter industry anytime, or any firm can leave the industry anytime. Keeping in view that characteristic of perfect competition, let's discuss all these equilibrium situations one by one. To start with, firm's equilibrium with supernormal profits. Whenever there will be supernormal profits in the industries, other firms will get attracted to those supernormal profits. Obviously, if there are supernormal profits, other firms will enter the business, and when they will enter the business, no doubt there will be increase in output and it will attract more firms to enter. Gradually, those supernormal profits will be converted into normal profits. Normal profits, no profit, no loss. No firm will have a tendency to enter and no firm will have a tendency to exit. Next is minimum losses. Equilibrium of firm at minimum losses. Minimum losses where firm is below the normal profits. It means revenue is less than the cost. Cost is more. And whenever there will be losses, minimum losses, few firms will exit the industry. When few firms will exit the industry, automatically situation of normal profit will attained. Let's discuss these one by one diagrammatically. So again, two conditions are there that we have already discussed. So let's see. On OX axis, output is there, and OY axis, cost and revenue is there. In perfect competition, average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. That is why this average revenue, marginal revenue curve is parallel to OX axis. Done. This is average cost curve, which initially goes downwards, reaches to its minimum, then after this minimum point goes on increasing. Then is average variable cost. Again it follows the same rule, followed by short-term average cost. This distance between the two, average cost and average variable cost, goes on decreasing slowly. So whenever you are to draw these two curves in one axis, be careful that this distance should decrease, not to increase. Clear? So now let's see. This is the minimum point of average cost. This is short run marginal cost. As I told you earlier in my previous lectures, when we were discussing the relationship of average cost and marginal cost, I explained that how they work, the relationship between the both. So let's have a quick recap. The quick recap is, when average cost is decreasing, marginal cost will also decrease. See, decreasing side, decreasing side. But the minimum of marginal cost will occur before the minimum of average cost. And when average cost starts increasing, marginal cost will also start increasing at a faster rate. And another very important point is that marginal cost curve always cut average cost curve from its minimum point. Equilibrium condition for perfect competition in short run is that marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below. That's a separate condition. But when we are talking about the relationship between marginal cost and average cost, this point is very important, that marginal cost curve always intersect the average cost curve from its minimum point, at its minimum point, at point this. So whenever we are drawing these two together, for example, see, this is the minimum point, average cost, ये बन गया हमारा marginal cost. It should always cut from its minimum. It can't be like, you can't draw it like average cost, यहाँ से cut कर लो marginal cost. No, this is wrong. It will always cut from its minimum. So this point is very important whenever you are drawing supernormal profits or normal profits in any competition, whether it's perfect competition, monopoly or monopolistic competition. You need to be very careful about this thing. So coming back, so at this point, point E, both conditions of equilibrium, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost and marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below, are fulfilled. So this is a point of equilibrium. At this point, marginal cost is equal to marginal revenue and marginal cost curve is cutting marginal revenue from below. So this is the equilibrium point. At this point, quantity required is OQ and the price is OP. Now coming to the cost. So this triangle OPEQ is total revenue. Clear? Now the total cost point. Total cost will be at a point where it is intersecting average cost, short run average cost at point L. Clear? So the cost is OKLQ and revenue is, total revenue is OPEQ. So the difference between the two, that is KLEP. P is our supernormal profits. At output OQ, LQ is the average cost, out of which MQ is average variable cost and LM is average fixed cost. Clear? And the price OP or the price, you can say OP or EQ, is more than short run average cost, that is LQ, by this difference, that is EL. So this box PELK is our supernormal profits. So EL is profit per unit at the point of equilibrium, and total profit will be EL multiplied by LK. So this is equal to EL KP, that is our output. Clear? Moving forward, firm's equilibrium with normal profits. Again, both conditions will work. That is, marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, and marginal cost curve cuts marginal revenue from below. Fine. So normal profit states when there is no difference between total revenue and total cost. It means total revenue is equal to total cost. At that point, there will be normal profits. We will follow the same procedure that we have already discussed in supernormal profits. Again, at OQ axis, output, at OY axis, cost and revenue. AR is equal to MR and is parallel to OX axis. Again, it's because of the perfect competition. Short run average cost, average variable cost, short run marginal cost. Again, short run marginal cost is intersecting from its minimum. And in this situation, see, OQ is output. Fine. Total revenue and total cost are equal. OPMQ. This is total cost and total revenue. There is no difference between total cost and total revenue area. So there will be normal profits where total cost is equal to total revenue. That is OPEQ. At output OQ, at output OQ, EQ is average cost, out of which this portion MQ is average variable cost, and this portion EM is average fixed cost, and OP is price, which is equal to average cost, which covers both average variable cost MQ and average fixed cost EM. So in this phase, firm is in equilibrium with normal profits. Clear? So coming to next slide, that is firm's equilibrium with minimum losses. So firm will be in equilibrium. Again, the same two conditions at a point where both the conditions of equilibrium are satisfied. In this diagram, see again output, cost and revenue. At point E, both the conditions are satisfied. It is MC is intersecting MR from below, and at this point both are equal. So this is a equilibrium condition. In this diagram, see, this is short run average cost. This is average variable cost. Clear? At equilibrium point, OP is price and OQ is equilibrium output. Total revenue is OPEQ. Now the question is, where is total cost? Total cost is OKQ. LQ. In this case, total cost is more than total revenue. There is a difference between the two. That difference between the two is depicted by this portion, KLEP. This is the loss area. So these are the losses which a firm is earning. At this point, total loss, that will be EL into EP, that is ELKP, that I have already highlighted. If the firm is incurring losses, now the question is whether producer will continue to go for production or shut down the firm. In this situation, the main aim of the producer is to minimize losses. Now again the question is how to minimize the losses. At what point producer will decide to shut down, or up to which point producer will continue production with minimum losses? So the answer is the producer will continue its production till the point where its production is covering at least its fixed cost. No doubt, loss of variable cost will be there, but at least the production is covering total fixed cost. Because if at that point any producer will shut down the production, total fixed cost will also turn into losses. So it's better to continue production till, no doubt, the firm is incurring variable cost losses, but the firm is still covering its fixed cost. So coming to this point, see, firm will not be shut down as long as firm is able to minimize its losses by continuing production. Firm is incurring losses at equilibrium point E, but firm will not be shut down as firm is able to minimize losses at this point. If firm has to be shut down at this point, as I told you earlier, the entire average cost must have to convert it into losses. At this point, firm is able to minimize losses by continuing production. Suppose the price has declined from this to this, only to P1, clear, OP1, then equilibrium will be at point E1, clear. At E1, L1, Q1, this thing is average cost, out of which E1 to Q1 is average variable cost and E1 to L1 is average fixed cost. At this price, that is OP1, it covers only average variable cost, that is E1 Q1. No part of average fixed cost is being covered. Hence, there is no possibility of minimization of losses in future. So, the firm will shut down at point E1. This point E1 will be known as shutdown point for the firm. Clear? Now, coming to the equilibrium of industry. In industry, as I told you, supernormal profits will be there and minimum losses will be there. Again, the same representation. Here, there are supernormal profits. Here, there are minimum losses. The both we have already discussed in our previous slides. Now, moving to next, long run equilibrium of firm and industry, that is normal profits. In long run, there are always normal profits. In short run, there can be three situations: equilibrium at supernormal profit, normal profit and minimum losses. But in long run, whatever the form of competition is, there will be always normal profits, because you know that in long run no factor is fixed, all factors are variable. Conditions of equilibrium will remain the same, that is long run marginal cost is equal to long run marginal revenue, and long run marginal cost must cut long run marginal curve from below. But there will be no possibility either to expand or to contract it out. So in long run, there will be always normal profits. Firm will be in equilibrium with supernormal profits in short run. New firms will enter into the industry, which will expand the output of the industry. Similarly, in long run equilibrium, the firm is called optimum output, because price of this output is equal to minimum long run average cost, and firm can just earn normal profits. Diagrammatically, again, at OX-axis output, at OY-axis cost and revenue. Here average revenue is equal to marginal revenue, average long run average cost curves, long run marginal cost curve, point of equilibrium where both conditions are satisfied and firm is earning only normal profits, no losses and no supernormal profits. So with this, we are done with equilibrium of firm and industry in perfect competition in short run period and long run period. Thank you.